as mentioned, I am Rob Lang. I'm the CEO of Auggd. It's pronounced Auggd. That's short for Augmented. We're a technology startup based in Sydney, Australia. My background is technology. I'm a gadget geek, as I say there, so I use just about every form of gadget that I can find and I'm an early adopter. I get my hands on gadgets as soon as I can. I do have a PhD in computer engineering. I started my career doing chip design in the computer graphics industry. So I'm going to talk today about just overall introducing virtual reality quickly, jumping onto augmented reality, and then talking a bit about how it links to IoT from my perspective, that sort of thing. The good news is that straight after this, there's also a panel with a whole bunch of other experts. I think they're mostly sitting in the front row here. I see the augmented headsets. That's cool. So, if you can ask questions during this one, or if you want, save your questions for the panel, and you'll get a whole different, you'll get a range of opinions on that, I'm sure. So just to introduce the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality, I'll talk about the mixed reality continuum. This shows basically on the blue arrow, the big blue arrow from left to right. Left is reality, which is hopefully what we're sitting in here, assuming that it's not some fabrication. And the slides are automatically advancing for some reason, so that's not me. So on the left is reality. I didn't put a picture in for that because I assume you can just look around and see reality. The next one along towards the right is augmented reality, which is what I'm going to talk most about today. And I've got the picture there of Pokemon Go, which everyone should be familiar with. So I'm at a dim sim place, and I've got the crab jumping on my dim sims there. Those slides are going to really bug me. The middle one is augmented virtuality. There's not a lot of talk about this. I mean, there's a lot of research in this industry, but not a lot of popular use yet. This is where you would take virtual reality and put real objects or people inside the image, inside the world. So in that example, I'm just going to keep hitting back every time that happens. Inside that image, you see the keyboard and hand from the University of Glasgow experiment there. That's being brought in from the real world into the virtual world. And it's kind of a cool application because he's tracking the blue device on his hand to bring kind of an area around his hand into the virtual reality. And then the far right one is virtual reality, which I think we're probably all familiar with. That's where typically you have a headset, you're fully immersed in another world. Your reality is being replaced with another reality. And I've shown a Vive game there called Job Simulator, which is a lot of fun if you get a chance to play it. And that's the fully immersed example. So with that, what we're going to distinguish between is augmented reality, which is the Pokemon style, where digital assets are produced in the world around you, with the fully virtual reality where you're in another world. So augmented reality on mobile devices. This is a number of examples showing the top left one there is a virtual car, which is over at our booth. You can come and see it. What we do is we recognize the car. Once we recognize the car, we place instructional information over the top of the car when looking at it through a mobile device. So that gives you a sort of a virtual user's guide, or a user's guide that's actually in context on the device, which is really quite useful. The bottom middle one with the kitchen appliance, that's an actual a virtual appliance appearing in augmented reality. So that kitchen device, which if you've ever seen one, they're really cool, but they're really heavy as well. So you don't want to carry a lot of those around. And so this allows you to, again, we've got demonstrations that I can show later, but this shows you how you can make the product appear in the world around you, and you can change the colors, you can animate it, you can interact with it, you can see the features, that sort of thing. And then the top right shows you sort of a virtual city example where they've got a map of the city, and the models are appearing when looked at through those mobile devices. So the cool thing about mobile devices is they're here now. There's billions of them out there. Everybody in the audience has at least one on them. I have like 3 in my pockets at the moment. So the devices are out there, and we can deliver the capabilities on them today. Head-mounted displays are very much in development. There's a lot of commercial applications, and then there's some good ones coming out for more regular use as well. And I'm sure in the panel you'll see a couple of examples, because as I said, I see the front row has some on. The left side one is me using the Microsoft HoloLens, which is a very popular one, obviously produced by Microsoft. It gives you, it allows you to place virtual objects in the world around you and you see them through that headset. And whenever wearing that sort of device, you must take some sort of crazy pose and get your photo taken. That's kind of the rules with that. The middle one is a smart helmet. I actually think this one has a lot of potential in the market because it's an application that makes a lot of sense. It's an application that, if you're a construction worker, or a police officer, a fireman, that sort of thing, then having this visor there, they're already used to typically wearing helmets and visors, so it's not something that's uncomfortable or something that they're going to need some getting used to. But then you can provide heads-up information in there, point to dangers, point to safety risks, provide information about the job and task that you're doing. And then a couple on the right are more industrial ones, Epson and Osterhout. They're a bit more stylish, a bit more wearable, but similar applications, in terms of instructional and providing heads-up display information around you. And there's lots more. Like there's really a lot on the market of these headsets being developed. Now it's not advancing at all. Next slide. You fixed the advancing problem, but now it's not advancing at all. Next slide, thank you. And then another area of augmented reality is heads-up displays. I've got two here, again another DAQRI one and then the NavD. So these are devices that can project information onto your screen in front of you so that it's in line of sight. It reduces your distraction looking away from the road, and it's able to provide useful information around the city. It can direct you to parking or navigation. It can show hazards and warnings and that sort of thing. I have one of these in my car back in Australia, and it's really interesting when I switch from my car to my wife's car. For the first 20 minutes or so, I feel like I'm driving blind a bit. I'm driving and I'm sort of half gazing at the screen and thinking, what am I missing? I'm missing something. I'm missing my speed. Where's my speed? And it's down on the dash, but I'm used to having it in a heads-up display. And in my car, if it has sensors so that if the car in front of me brakes and I'm not also braking, then the whole heads-up display becomes a warning and the sound goes off and the car becomes an alarm. And it's pretty good. 90% of the time when that alarm goes off, I feel like whether it's an accident, potential accident or not, I should have been braking. So, it's generally telling me, something's happening in front of you and you should be braking. So IoT, I showed this slide yesterday. This is one of many definitions. This is a Wikipedia definition. Internet-worked physical devices. We all know what that is. We're at an IoT conference, so I won't spend too much time on that. But highlighting that it's collecting and exchanging data, and collecting data is kind of one of the key things here. Because what I want to talk about here is, what about touchscreens? And if you saw my Petra Kucha last night, I talked about this, but I, much quicker because you only get 20 seconds to talk about it. Sensors and networks are being added. Networking are being added into devices in the IoT realm. But are you really going to add a screen to everything? Maybe a limited small screen, but this example with the digital screen on the side of the toaster, it's not a real product. It's actually a joke. It was an April Fool's joke that BBC put out a couple of years ago, or maybe many years ago. I think 2010 or something. But that I just don't think that that's what you're going to do with a toaster. You're not going to put a screen on it. However, going back to the fact that we have billions of mobile devices around with screens, then why don't we just use those screens? Why don't we apply those screens to devices? So in some of the examples, as I've talked about, you could, if there's information that you need graphically off your toaster, I don't know what that would be, but if there is, then you can point your phone at the toaster, it can recognize the toaster, it can talk with the online sensors, and it can bring up the visualization information that way. So in that sense, you haven't increased or affected the cost of your toaster by adding a screen, but you're taking advantage of the fact that people have screens on them all the time now anyway. Next slide. Thank you. So, taking that concept, AR as a visualization tool for IoT, This is where I think the AR and IoT marry, and it's certainly not a new concept. I'm not the first to say this by any means. The example on the left there is an airport diagram. I can show you that example live on my iPad sometime. Basically, it's showing decibel sensors in different locations in the airport, and then it has an animation of the plane going by, and as the plane goes by, the decibel sensors go up and down, reflecting the amount of noise that the plane is contributing to the environment. The one in the top middle is temperature mining information that's being placed over a map. That's obviously directly displayed on screens. And then the one on the bottom right, it's very hard to see in this image, but what it's showing you is it's showing you information about the the caterpillar there, the big tractor, and it's showing that it's in need of a filter replacement, and it's linking out to instructions on how to change the filter, which part to get, that sort of thing. So again, it's a visualization layer that's giving you directly over in relation to the device, in this case a large vehicle, and it's giving you information as to how you can then do maintenance on that vehicle. And if you combine that with the car example that I talked about before, where we can actually recognize the vehicle, then we can actually display the instructions right on the part that you want. So we've done a number of examples with cars. So if you lift the bonnet, or I don't know if you say hood here, the bonnet or hood, depending on American or Australian, you lift the bonnet, you point the phone at the engine, and it shows you where to put the oil, where to put the water, where to put, that sort of thing. Combine that with IoT sensors that it can actually tell you, by the way, your oil's low and your water's low and you need to, so it'll tell you the things that actually need to be done, and then you can jump in and do them. So I talked about this airport example. Actually, are we able to play that video? I think that's a video. Are you able to click on play on that? Yep. So you can see those blue sensors are sort of wavering, and as the plane is near a blue sensor, the sound data goes up, and so as it flows through, you can kind of see those that data being displayed there. And again, in terms of the actual augmentation, in case you can't see it, the map is actually not there. I'm getting through this much quicker than I thought, so I'm probably going to finish very early, I'm afraid. Leaves lots of times for questions. So this is the augmented car. Can you play that one as well, please? So I can show you this one at our booth. We have a little remote control car. Once it recognizes the car, then it provides instructions directly on the parts of the car that are affected, how to change the battery, and then we can also overlay a different color on top of the car, so you can change the appearance. We could take that further. Animations showing screwdrivers coming in there and doing work, and you can see that it really tracks the car in 3D. There's sensors on all sides, so you have to kind of either spin the car or walk around, go around to other sides of it. From there, we can link out to all sorts of digital content. We can link out to, in this case, fan videos, operational videos, training videos, whatever content's available, we can link it directly in. And as I said, the ability to overlay the instructions and the data directly on the object is providing exactly the context that the manufacturer wants in this case. And one of the things that I highlight with augmented reality is that it can take the search engine out of the whole equation, because I could Google this car and find my way to a document that might have been produced by a fan and may be inaccurate. And if we're talking about a complex piece of machinery that maybe it's dangerous if you do the maintenance incorrectly, then you want to make sure you're getting the actual manufacturer's information, the actual information they want you to have, not some random person on the internet that created something that they thought would be helpful. And you can take that whole Google, I hope there's no one from Google in the room, you can take Google out of the equation, and you can have it directly identify off the object, jump directly to the manufacturer's information that they want you to have. Another example of just showing available data, and if you could play that video, please. So this is showing financial data appearing on a display. The quality's not that great. I did this in my hotel room on Monday night, sorry. But what it's doing is it's showing this is a charity, and it's showing the number of meals delivered in a number of different regions, and it's showing it directly on the map. The reason that I included that one into the example is it's just another example of how we can display data that is provided from whatever source is providing it. So they upload an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file, and we can just display that data within the augmentation, and they can change the data if they want, they can stream the data, they can adjust the data. So I think I'm just about getting done. I am. So I'm going to be 10 minutes early, unfortunately, so that's going to give you some time for questions or a break before we set up for the panel. So, as I said before, like it's pretty clear to me, and I also said I'm not the first to say it, that IoT and AR are definitely very much linked. IoT being the connecting devices and gathering data and reacting to that data, exchanging that data, machine to machine or machine to human, all of that is sort of one angle, and then augmented reality is about taking data that's relevant to your current context, that's relevant to the current world around you, and visualizing that data and allowing you to interact with that data and so on. So the two are just such a great sort of married, they're married markets, and with both of them being projected to be in, hundreds of billions, I think in IoT it's trillions, of market revenue in 2020, then the combined markets are going to be, really massive. And I think it is a situation, as I said in my Pecha Kucha yesterday, that it's a, 1 + 1 = 3. By combining these markets, I think it'll add to each market and allow the markets to grow much quicker. And so what I'm putting out a call for, come find me, come email me. I'm rob@augg.com. It should be on the bottom there. Yep, it's on the bottom. I can't see it, it's blocked out here. Get in touch with me, share your data with us, let us see how we can visualize it, let's figure out what the applications are so that we can do some good marrying of AR and IoT. And with that, I'm 10 minutes early. So I'm done, thank you. And I'm happy to take any questions. The lights are really strong, but if you sort of stand up, I'll be able to see if you have a question. No? Completely confused you all. Okay, so then if there's no questions, we'll save them for the panel. I'll take a break there, but as I said, we're just in the booth just outside the door here. Come and see me and see our demos. I'm also doing after the panel, at 1:30 today, I'm doing another workshop over in the tech space, and that one will be similar sort of content, but a lot more focused on the history of VR and the history of AR. And in that one, I'll do a whole bunch of the demos on the stage, so you'll see the live demos if you want to come over and see them there. Thank you very much.